Lieutenant Mara Hale strode confidently along the Eularian starport's gleaming promenade. Rows of stalls offered exotic spices, glowing crystals, and fine silks from dozens of worlds. Tall windows arched overhead, letting in shafts of pale starlight that danced on polished floors. Mara paused now and then, politely greeting vendors and nodding to passing traders in their colorful robes. She was here on a peaceful mission. The United Earth Council had sent her as a goodwill envoy. Her task was simple: to meet Princess Zythora, heir to the Eularian throne, and extend Earth's friendship. Official plans called for polite speeches, formal bows, and the exchange of gifts, but Mara believed in a lighter touch. Ahead, a group of Eularian royal guards formed an elegant semicircle around a small stage. On that stage stood Princess Zythora herself. Even from a distance, her grace was clear. She wore a flowing gown of pale lavender that seemed to shimmer in the starlight. Her long hair, the color of moonlight, was woven into a graceful braid. She read from a datapad, smiling at the new holographic art display Earth had helped design. Mara adjusted the strap of her messenger bag. Inside, nestled in soft padding, lay the gift she had chosen for the princess: a small hand-carved globe of polished ebony, inlaid with silver lines showing Earth's continents. She had practiced her greeting in the mirror that morning until her tone sounded warm without being foolish. "Hello, Cutie," she said, stepping onto the stage with a bright grin. The promenade's bustle seemed to hush for a heart's beat. Zythora looked up, startled. Her eyes, a deep violet, widened. For a moment she froze, words forgotten. Then a faint flush crept across her cheeks, turning her pale skin a tender shade of pink. The datapad slipped from her delicate fingers and clattered onto the floor. Gasps rippled through the gathered crowd. Some merchants leaned forward, whispering excitedly. A few dignitaries exchanged baffled looks. Mara remained calm. She tilted her head with a playful smile and offered her hand. The princess hesitated, only an instant before recovering her royal bearing. She bent at the waist in a graceful bow, one hand rising to cover her mouth. Her other hand hovered above the dropped datapad as though she might swoop down and rescue it. But her cheeks remained rosy. Hello? Zythora said in a soft voice that trembled slightly. Did you speak to me? Of course. Mara crouched to pick up the datapad. She handed it back with a small flourish, like a court magician performing a simple trick. I wanted to say hello, and well, Cutie felt right. The princess took the datapad back, still blinking as though waking from a dream. She tucked a loose strand of hair behind her ear, her hand brushing her blush. Several onlookers leaned in, hungry for every gesture. Mara stood and bowed lightly. I'm Lieutenant Mara Hale of the United Earth Council. I hope this greeting is not too forward. Zythora tucked a slender lock of hair behind her ear. No, it was interesting. She cleared her throat. I am Princess Zythora of Eularia. Thank you for visiting our starport. Your gift, the globe, is beautiful. Mara beamed. I'm glad you like it. She reached inside her bag and lifted the ebony globe. This is Earth. It's small compared to your worlds, but it has tall forests, wide oceans, and billions of people who would love to learn about Eularia. Zythora accepted the globe with both hands, turning it slowly. Her eyes reflected the silver inlays. It is lovely, she whispered. Your people must be very skilled. Mara shrugged modestly. We try, but I think the real skill comes from curiosity. People who look at something strange and want to understand it better. She stepped closer to the princess, noting how Zythora straightened at her side. May I show you some pictures of my home? The princess nodded and gestured toward a nearby holo display unit. It sprang to life with images of Earth, misty mountains, neon cityscapes, rushing rivers, and smiling faces of children feeding birds in a park. Zythora's blush faded as her curiosity bloomed. She asked soft, precise questions. What is this bird? Why is this building lit in so many colors? How do you grow food in winter? Mara answered each in turn, keeping her language simple and clear. That bird is called a robin. It sings songs in the morning. The building lights are part of a festival we hold each year. People paint their cities with light. And we grow food in winter by using greenhouses with warm lights and careful soil. The princess smiled, no longer self-conscious. She reached out and touched the hologram of a glowing city skyline. It looks like a dream. Mara settled onto a low bench and patted the spot beside her. Earth can feel like that sometimes. She noticed a few of the royal guards watching curiously. They relaxed as they saw the princess's calm face. For the next 10 minutes, the two shared stories. Mara told Zithora about her hometown's winding canals and the taste of freshly baked bread. Zithora described the twin oceans of her home world and how the stars danced in the night sky. A small crowd gathered at a respectful distance. Traders and diplomats paused their business to watch this rare, genuine exchange. Not a word of politics or protocol was spoken. Instead, there was laughter and wonder. When the display unit dimmed, Zithora looked at Mara with bright eyes. Thank you for sharing these images. I have seen many displays, but this felt personal. Mara stood and brushed imaginary dust from her uniform. That's because it is. I wanted you to see Earth through my eyes, not through a parade of facts. She smiled again. And I wanted to see Eularia through yours. The princess's expression softened. She held the globe out to Mara. I want to explore more of your world. Will you help me? Mara's heart gave a little jump. She bowed one more time. It would be my honor. With that simple agreement, the formal walls between human and royalty melted away. Word rippled through the starport that a bond had formed, not of politics, but of friendship. Vendors returned to their stalls with lighter hearts. Guards resumed their posts with gentler looks. Even the dignitaries seemed to breathe more easily. As the two women walked side by side down the promenade, Mara offered to guide Zithora to the botanical gardens next. The princess agreed, her earlier blush forgotten in the warm glow of possibility. Behind them, Eularian courtiers whispered, excitedly. Never had they seen a human make their princess smile so freely. And perhaps they thought, this could be the start of something new. An alliance built on kindness, curiosity, and a single cheeky greeting. Hello, Cutie. Lieutenant Mara Hale led Princess Zithora through the marble corridors of the Eularian palace. Tall arches rose overhead, and soft lights glowed from crystal sconces along the walls. Servants in flowing robes bowed as they passed, but neither Mara nor Zithora noticed. They were lost in conversation. At last they reached the grand library. The room was immense. Shelves of books climbed 2 stories high with narrow balconies and brass railings. Holographic maps hovered above reading tables. The air smelled faintly of old paper and sweet alien incense. Zithora, still clutching the little ebony globe in one hand, paused at the entrance to drink it all in. This place is beautiful, Mara said, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. I've never seen a library this big. Zithora smiled shyly. It is our pride. We have stored knowledge from more than 300 worlds here. She set the globe on a low table and stepped toward a shelf stacked with tall, thin volumes bound in pale leather. Would you like to see some Eularian history? Mara bent to pick up the globe. She turned it slowly in her hands, studying the silver lines. In another time, someone on Earth might have been amazed by a library like this, she said. On my world, most people read from small screens. The princess raised an eyebrow. Screens? Too small to hold a real book's weight and smell? She laughed, and the sound was like wind chimes. Mara laughed too. Exactly, but screens can carry thousands of stories. I thought you might like to see one. She tapped her communicator. Badge. A small hollow tablet appeared, projecting a picture of Earth's oldest library, the one in Alexandria. Broken columns in golden light, piles of scrolls. Zithora leaned forward. It is marvelous. So much has been lost, yet so much Remembered. She traced the image with her fingertip. Your people value memory. Yes, Mara said. We build machines to help us remember, but machines can fail. That's why we still use books and paper, just in case. She tucked the hollow tablet away and helped Zythora position the ebony globe on a nearby pedestal so it wouldn't roll off. Zythora turned back to the shelves. She slid out a book bound in smooth turquoise hide. On its spine was written a single glyph that glowed faintly. This is a record of our first contact with the Talarian traders, she explained. I was given it on my 5th cycle, as a gift of welcome. Mara took the book gently and sat at a reading table. She opened it and words floated into the air in delicate golden script. She frowned. I can't read these letters. Zythora's cheeks warmed as she moved to Mara's side. Please allow me. The princess placed her hand above the floating letters. They shifted into a script that Mara recognized. Simple Earth alphabet. There, Zythora said. Now you can read Eularian. Mara smiled. Thank you. She began to read aloud. When first we reached your star lanes, we thought you were light made visible. She paused at the next line, her eyes bright. But when we spoke, we found you were laughter and kindness wrapped in flesh and bone. Zythora watched Mara's face. That passage always makes me proud of my people, she said softly. We wrote it when we feared silence would grow between worlds. Mara closed the book and nodded. It's beautiful. Your culture sees words as living things. The princess smiled shyly. On Eularia, every story is a gift. To share a story is to share oneself. Mara leaned back, curious. Then may I share a story with you? She reached inside her messenger bag and withdrew a small slip of paper. On it she had scribbled a simple earth proverb. A single spark can light many candles. She handed the note to Zythora. The princess read it slowly. Her eyes widened. Candles, she repeated. Light we offer, but many burn. It means one deed can inspire many others. Mara nodded. Yes. And I want to be that spark of friendship between Earth and Eularia. She looked at Zythora's violet eyes, searching for agreement. Zythora's lips curved into a gentle smile. Then as a candle, I will burn brightly for Earth. She folded the note and tucked it into the turquoise book. Tomorrow I will show you our crystal gardens. The light there, it changes colors every hour. It is like walking inside a dream. Mara stood. I would love that. They rose together, and Zythora led the way deeper into the library. They passed alcoves of star atlas scrolls and cages of tiny mechanical insects that glowed in shifting hues. At one station, an elderly scholar peered through a glass sphere, studying a floating hologram of a pulsar. He waved, and Zythora returned the greeting with a respectful nod. You know many of these scholars, Mara observed. Zythora laughed. They taught me as a child. Now they hope I will teach them about Earth. Mara tilted her head. Then they will have their lesson soon. At the end of a long aisle, the princess stopped beside a circular table. On it lay a stack of transparent datapads. Each displayed a page from an Earth folktale. Mara picked up the top one. It showed a simple drawing, a small fox and a weary traveler under the moon. This is from Aesop, Mara explained. The Fox and the Grapes. It's about wanting something you cannot have. She tapped the image, and the fox sprang to life, panting and stretching to reach purple fruits beyond its reach. Zythora watched, amused. He is clever, she said when the animated fox waited below until the grapes fell. And he pretends they are sour. She paused. Is it a lesson in pride or in wisdom? Mara thought a moment. Both, perhaps. Sometimes we pretend we don't want what we can't have so we don't feel disappointed. The princess nodded thoughtfully. A useful lesson. She set the datapad down. Tell me, Mara, what story from Eularia would you teach my people? Mara's eyes lit up. I would tell them about the first Earth-Moon voyage. She described rockets lifting off, stars streaking past, and the first astronaut stepping onto a barren gray surface. It was a small step for one person, but a giant leap for all of us. Zithora's breath caught. I have seen images of that. Your world came together in celebration. Mara's chest tightened slightly at the memory. Yes, for one moment, we forgot our wars and our borders. We looked up and felt united. The princess reached for Mara's hand. Then I will attend your moon celebration next cycle as your guest. I want to see your people standing together. Mara squeezed Zithora's fingers. It would mean the world to me. They stood in silence, two worlds meeting in that hushed hall. Around them, the library's glow seemed warmer. For a time there were no titles, only two friends sharing, wonder and hope. Soon they would step beyond books into gardens of living crystals. But for now, every page turned, every story shared, wove their worlds closer. As they walked back toward the entrance, Mara glanced at the ebony globe and the turquoise book tucked under Zithora's arm. Between them, memories of Earth and Eularia rested like shining treasures. And in their hearts, they carried the spark of a new alliance, one born of simple kindness, bound by shared stories and destined to light many long nights to come. Lieutenant Mara Hale stood just outside the grand reception hall of the Eularian Palace, straightening her uniform. Her heart beat with excitement and a touch of nerves. Tonight, Princess Zithora would host a formal gathering of ambassadors, traders, and dignitaries from dozens of worlds. It was Mara's first official duty as the princess's companion, and she intended to help Zithora shine. Beyond the carved crystal doors, the hall gleamed with ivory columns, glowing filaments, and floating lanterns shaped like starfish. Soft music drifted through the air, an orchestra of alien instruments playing a gentle, starlit melody. Eularian courtiers in flowing robes drifted among mirrored tables laid with exotic dishes. Holographic banners displayed each guest's homeworld in swirling patterns. Mara took a breath and followed Zithora inside. The princess had chosen a simple gown of pale silver that complemented her lavender skin. Her hair was pinned high with tiny crystal pins that sparkled like distant suns. When Zithora saw Mara, her deep violet eyes lit up. "Mara," she whispered. "Thank you for coming." Mara offered her arm. "Always, Your Highness. Let's make tonight a success." They moved through the crowd, exchanging polite smiles. Mara noticed a Talarian envoy, tall, blue-skinned, with horn-like ridges, approach Zithora. He bowed low. "Princess, I bring the greetings of Talaris Prime." He held out a silver box etched with moving starlight. Zithora returned the bow, but her expression tightened. She glanced at Mara, who gave her an encouraging nod. The princess accepted the box with a small smile. "Thank you. Your gift honors me." The envoy bowed again and drifted away. Zithora exhaled. "I practiced this so many times, but I still feel awkward." Mara squeezed her hand. "It's natural. Formality can be stiff. Remember how you taught me to laugh at my mistakes? Tonight, if things get too stuffy, I'll rescue you." Zithora gave a quiet laugh. "Please do." Not far off, Ambassador Creel from the Dravos Confederation spotted Mara and Zithora. Known for his grand speeches, Creel was already assembling a long-winded greeting. He cleared his throat and swept toward them, arms open. "Princess Zithora," he began in booming tones, "it is with the greatest honor and unmatched enthusiasm that I present to you." Creel's voice echoed off the high ceiling, attracting more ears. Zithora's lips pressed into a polite smile, but she stiffened. Mara watched Creel pull from his pocket an ornate scroll, wrap it in ribbon, and glare at the princess as he began to recite his entire genealogy. Mara leaned close. "Stay calm," she whispered. "I have an idea." She stepped forward, cleared her throat softly, and caught Creel's attention. "Ambassador Creel," she interrupted, "what a pleasure to see you." Her voice was warm, friendly. "Your latest treaty with Barisol was so inspiring. Your section on environmental harmony gave me chills." Creel blinked. "You read that?" he stammered, his scroll forgotten in his hand. Mara smiled brightly. "Yes. The part about the crystal forests and how they regenerate with each rainfall. It was beautiful. Creel's chest swelled with pride. Indeed. I wrote it, myself. Princess, did you know this was my finest work? He turned to Zythora. Princess, Lieutenant Hale's praise is well earned. Perhaps you will allow me to recite just a short excerpt? Mara gently shook her head. One excerpt is plenty. We don't want to tire the princess. She gave Zythora an easy smile. Why don't you show Princess Zythora that delicate parasol blossom they brought from your home world? Creel's eyes lit up. He withdrew a tiny glass vial and uncorked it, releasing a pale mist that formed a single white blossom in his palm. The flower opened, petals shimmering softly. For you, Princess. Zythora gasped, forgetting her nerves. She reached for the blossom. It's magnificent. Mara slipped back beside Zythora. See? All it took was a small gift and a kind word. She winked at the ambassador, who beamed. With that, his scroll remained tucked away. As Creel moved on, more envoys approached, each waiting their turn. Mara guided Zythora through short, pleasant conversations. A merchant from Vega praised Earth's inventions. A diplomat from Nova Rift asked about the meaning of human laughter. With each interaction, Zythora's confidence grew. Halfway through the evening, Zythora paused beside a long mirror. She studied her reflection. What if they think I am inexperienced? A mistake could ruin everything. Mara placed a hand on her shoulder. Everyone here admires you. They came to honor you. They want this alliance to succeed as much as you do. She smiled. Look around, they're relaxed. Even Ambassador Creel is smiling instead of lecturing. Zythora's lips curved. You're right. It's easier with you by my side. Mara bowed her head. Always. Just then a dignitary from Zenora, known for dry humor, sauntered over. He was short and stout, with a pointed beard and quick eyes. Princess Zythora, he said, I have a riddle for you. Zythora tilted her head. A riddle? The Zenoran laughed softly. Yes. What walks on 4 legs at dawn, 2 legs at noon, and 3 legs at dusk? Zythora frowned. I do not know, Mara whispered. Classic Earth riddle. The answer is a human. We crawl, then walk, then use a cane, but let her have fun. So Zythora answered shyly. A creature with phases. The Zenoran raised an eyebrow. Mara stepped in. A human. When the Zenoran looked startled, Mara added, We smile at questions too. The Zenoran chuckled. Correct. You are clever, Lieutenant. Zythora laughed, joining in. The hall brightened with genuine amusement. Even the musicians played more lively notes. As the evening wound down, Zythora stood on a small dais to deliver a closing remark. Courtiers hushed. She straightened, took a breath, and looked at Mara for support. Mara gave her a gentle nod. Zythora smiled and began in a clear, steady voice. Honored guests, friends from many worlds, tonight we have shared stories, gifts, and laughter. May our new friendship light the pathways between our homes just as a single spark can light many candles. She paused, then added, On behalf of Eularia, I thank Lieutenant Mara Hale and the people of Earth for showing us that kindness is the greatest gift. Polite applause swelled into genuine cheers. Zythora's cheeks tinged with that familiar blush, but this time it was from pride rather than surprise. Mara descended the steps and joined Zythora, taking her arm as they walked back through the lantern-lit hall. You did wonderfully, Mara whispered. Zythora's smile shone. I felt like myself, for the first time here. Mara squeezed her hand. That's all that matters. Outside the palace, the night sky glittered. With distant worlds, beneath the twin moons, 2 friends, 1 human and 1 alien, stood side by side, their bond stronger after the evening's trials. In their hearts, they knew this was more than a test of etiquette. It was proof that warmth and wit could bridge any starry gulf. And as they walked into the starlit garden beyond the palace gates, they looked forward to sharing many more moments of laughter and light, together. Under the twin moon's soft glow, the palace balcony seemed to float above Eularia Prime's gardens. Crystalline flowers glimmered below, their petals glowing in gentle waves of violet and blue. Lieutenant Mara Hale stood by the railing, watching. The Starfleet's at anchor, sleek Eularian cruisers, Earth shuttles, and vessels from half a dozen worlds, each hull lit by moonlight. Princess Githora emerged from the open doors, her pale silver gown drifting like starlight. Her hair was loose tonight, framing her face in soft waves. She paused beside Mara, as though gathering courage. Mara offered her hand, and Zythora took it. "The view is more beautiful with you here," Zythora said, her voice low. Mara felt her heart quicken. "I agree. These moons, they remind me of Earth's twin moons in some old stories." She gestured to the brighter moon. "They say it brings calm thoughts." Zythora nodded. She breathed in the night air. "I have a confession," she said after a moment. Her violet eyes shone with feeling. "When you first called me Cutie, I felt my world shift." Mara's lips curved into a gentle smile. "I was worried I might offend you," she admitted. "I thought you'd be angry or upset." The princess turned to face her fully, the crystals below reflecting faint sparkles on her skin. "Not angry," she whispered. "Surprised and delighted." She looked away, tracing her fingers on the balcony's smooth edge. "But also afraid. Afraid that my feelings would be improper. I am a princess, bound by rules I barely understand." Mara reached out and gently lifted Zythora's hand to her lips. "Feelings aren't improper," she said softly. "They make us human, and they make you more yourself." Zythora's violet cheeks warmed. She inhaled, steadying herself. "I have spent all my life learning to be a ruler. I learned history and law, ceremony and policy. I learned to speak carefully, to bow perfectly, to give no hint of weakness." She paused. "But you make me forget those lessons. You make me feel like a girl again." Mara's chest tightened. "I never meant to cause you grief or fear." She brushed a loose curl from Zythora's face. "I only meant to show you kindness." Zythora closed her eyes, leaning into Mara's hand. The air between them pulsed with gentle warmth. "Kindness," she repeated. "Your kindness. It has broken my walls." Mara swallowed. The memory of their first meeting flowed back, the hush of the crowd, Zythora's dropped datapad, that first blush. "You broke mine first," Mara said quietly. "I thought I knew diplomacy. I thought I knew how to be a good envoy, but when I saw you smile, I realized I never knew what true connection felt like." Zythora opened her eyes, searching Mara's face. "You feel it too?" she asked, voice trembling. Mara nodded. "Every day. I look forward to our meetings. I worry when I can't see you. I want to share more than gifts or stories. I want to share my life with you." The princess's breath caught. She stepped closer, so their foreheads almost touched. "Mara, Her voice cracked on the words. Mara placed a finger gently on Zythora's lips. "You don't have to say anything you're not ready for." She brushed her thumb across Zythora's cheek. "Just know this. I care for you. Deeply." Zythora's eyes glistened. She closed the distance and pressed her lips softly to Mara's hand. The moment felt as if time had paused. Only the twin moons and the silent fleet bore witness. A gentle breeze rustled the princess's hair. She looked up at Mara, her violet eyes shining with unshed tears. "I care for you too," she whispered. "More than duty allows." Mara's heart thundered in her chest. She reached up and cupped Zythora's face, lifting it so their eyes met. "Then let us find a way," she said. "Together." Zythora gave a small, hopeful smile, but uncertainty flickered in her gaze. "My father, the Throne Council, they expect me to focus on alliances and politics." She glanced past Mara toward the palace windows. "What will they think? If they learn how I feel?" Mara took a steadying breath. They will see that your strength is not in hiding your heart, but in showing it. They will see what I have seen. A leader who listens not just to protocol, but to her own compassion. The princess looked at Mara, hope dawning. You really believe that? I do, Mara said firmly, and I will stand by you, no matter what. Zithora's hand tightened around Mara's. She closed her eyes, then opened them again, with resolve. Then I offer you my trust, she said. Stay by my side as I face the council. Show them that a bond of friendship, and perhaps more, can be the greatest alliance of all. Mara felt a surge of warmth and pride. With pleasure, Your Highness, she said, then softened. Scythora. Scythora's lips curved into a radiant smile. Thank you, Mara. She leaned in, placing a gentle kiss on Mara's cheek. The princess's blush returned, deeper and more confident this time. They remained on the balcony for a while longer, the night air cool against their skin. Below, the crystalline gardens pulsed with soft light, as if celebrating the princess's courage. Above, the twin moons watched quietly. At last, Zithora rested her head on Mara's shoulder. Let us go inside, she murmured. Tomorrow we begin a new chapter. Mara kissed the top of Zithora's head. I look forward to it, she replied. Hand in hand, human and princess stepped back into the warm glow of the palace. Behind them, the twin moons kept silent watch, witnesses to a confession that would change two worlds forever. Lieutenant Mara Hale stood at the edge of the Eularian starport hangar, the pale dawn light spilling across the polished floor. Around her, crew members bustled, preparing the sleek Eularian cruiser for departure. Cranes lifted cargo, engineers checked hull seams, and pilots ran final diagnostics in the cockpit. Yet Mara's full attention was on Princess Zithora, who stood beside her in a simple travel tunic of soft silver fabric. The princess held the little ebony globe in one hand and Mara's hand in the other. Inside the hangar's vast doors, sunlight painted the ships in gold. Mara remembered how only hours ago she and Zithora had stood together on the balcony, promising to face the throne council side by side. Now that promise would be tested and celebrated across the stars. A crew chief approached with a respectful nod. Lieutenant Princess, the ship is ready for boarding. His voice echoed slightly in the cavernous space. Zithora smiled, tracing a finger along Mara's palm. Thank you. Her violet eyes shone with excitement and a hint of nerves. Let us go. They walked together down the ramp and into the cruiser's warm interior. Soft lights glowed along the corridor's walls and polished floors reflected their footsteps. At the cockpit entrance, Captain Laroon, a veteran of many Eularian voyages, looked up from the console and bowed. Your Highness, Lieutenant, he said. Welcome aboard. Mara returned the bow. Thank you, Captain. Zithora stepped forward. Captain, will you pilot us to the council's seat on Seals Prime? Immediately, Your Highness. Laroon motioned them into the cockpit, where two co-pilots manned the controls. Outside the broad viewport, hangar doors slid closed and the world beyond narrowed to a glowing slit of sky. As the engines hummed to life, Mara slid into the seat beside Zithora. She glanced at the princess, who sat with perfect posture, despite the thrill in her eyes. Mara reached out and squeezed her hand. Are you ready? Mara asked softly. Zithora took a deep breath and nodded. I am. With you here, I feel brave. Mara smiled. Then let us make history. The ship lifted from the ground in a gentle surge. Through the viewport, the hangar's shadows faded, and Eularia Prime's twin moons hung in the pale sky. Then, with a soft roar, they entered hyperspace. Hours later, the cruiser dropped out of hyperspace into Seals Prime's star system. A single large planet filled the viewport, jade-green seas striped with white clouds. Its moon, smaller and gray, hovered nearby. Seals Prime was the heart of the Throne Council, where leaders from Eularia's allied worlds met under one roof, Captain Laroon announced. We have arrived at Seeley's prime orbit, Princess. Scythora nodded and rose. Very good. Lieutenant, shall we go? Mara stood and offered her arm. After you. They walked down a narrow corridor toward the airlock. Crew members bowed as they passed, but the princess's face remained calm and determined. Mara felt pride swell in her chest. At the airlock doors, Scythora pressed a control panel. The doors slid open, revealing a long landing platform bathed in golden light. Council delegates waited at the end, tall figures in flowing robes, representatives of many races. In their midst stood Chancellor Renvar, head of the Throne Council, his silver beard and austere robes marking centuries of leadership. As Scythora and Mara stepped onto the platform, the delegates bowed. Scythora held Mara's hand and nodded toward the Chancellor. Chancellor Renvar, she said clearly, I bring greetings from Eularia and Earth. Chancellor Renvar's stern eyes softened as he studied the pair. Princess Scythora, Lieutenant Mara hail. We have heard much of your friendship. He turned to the other delegates. It seems a new alliance is upon us. Mara squeezed Scythora's hand in support. The princess lifted her chin and stepped forward. Honored council, Scythora began. I ask that you judge me not by tradition alone, but by the strength we show together. Lieutenant Hale has taught me that kindness, honesty, and warmth can build bridges stronger than any treaty. A murmur rippled through the delegates. Some whispered among themselves. Others watched in respectful silence. Chancellor Renvar inclined his head. Princess, your words carry truth. I grant you leave to speak freely. Scythora turned to Mara. Will you join me? She asked. Mara nodded and moved beside the princess. Together they addressed the council. Esteemed members, Mara said, Earth and Eularia have shared stories, laughter, and memories. We have learned that despite our differences, we value the same things: hope, trust, and friendship. Today, we ask you to welcome a bond not built on fear or competition, but on mutual respect. Scythora added, Our shared journey is our strength. Let us light many candles with this spark of unity. Silence followed their speech. Then Chancellor Renvar raised his hand. By the authority of the Throne Council, I recognize this new alliance. Let Earth and Eularia stand together as equals. One by one, the delegates echoed his words. A chorus of acceptance filled the landing platform. The princess's cheeks warmed with pride. Mara felt tears of joy prick her eyes. Back aboard the cruiser as it departed Seeley's prime, Scythora and Mara stood again at the viewport. Stars streamed past in long lines of light. Scythora leaned into Mara's side. We did it, she whispered. Mara wrapped an arm around the princess's shoulders. Yes, together. Scythora turned her face up. What comes next? Mara thought of Earth's distant blue oceans and green continents. We travel to Earth. You will see my home, meet my people, and share in our celebrations. Scythora smiled. I cannot wait. Mara pointed to the ebony globe that sat on a nearby console. And this will guide you home until you learn our maps by heart. The princess picked up the globe and held it close. Every time I see this, I will remember our promise. Mara reached over and took the globe in one hand, folding Scythora's fingers around it. And I will remember mine, to stand by you, wherever we go. They stood in quiet for a moment, the hum of the engines beneath them. Outside, hyperspace lights blurred into white. At last, Scythora turned to Mara. Thank you, she said simply, for being my friend, my guide, and so much more. Mara brushed a soft kiss on the princess's forehead. Thank you, she replied, for showing me what home can feel like, no matter the world. Together, they watched the stars, ready for the journey ahead. Two hearts joined across galaxies, bound by a single cheerful greeting that had changed their lives. Hello, Cutie.